I'm Barbara Gunn-Mueller. What a pleasure to welcome you to peacepodcast.org. Today is a very special day because we're going to be interviewing a film producer, Emmanuel Itier. He and I have been friends for a really long time. In fact, one of his first film that I was aware of was Femme Women Healing the World. And as you may know, I'm president of the UNA. He was nominated not only for a Peace Prize, but we were the premier vacation, or whatever you want to call it, premiere of his movie Femme Women Healing the World with Sharon Stone. And I just want to welcome you, Emmanuel. You're one of these heroes on our planet who goes around and does work in spite of not being paid, but does it because he knows that world peace is the only answer for the future of our planet. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Barbara. Thank you for having me. So glad that we can have this conversation, and hopefully we're going to awaken people and invite them to become peace in action as well.
Peace in action. That's what I see you. I see you as peace in action. When you did film like Femme Women Healing the World, you were able to travel the whole world. And how many women did you actually interview for this movie?
Well, basically, we went through the 5 continents, 25 countries. We interviewed around 300 or 400 women, from peace activists to Nobel Peace Laureate, to movie stars like Sharon Stone, who is also a producer, musicians. So it was really a wide range of women from all type of horizon, and it was really to explore that notion of the feminine in the world and how there is a resurgence, and it's welcome and it's necessary, because if we look at the failure of our world still today, it's because of this ultra alpha male macho dominant killing system that we are all the victim of, men included. I always say, my problem in life is other men, and how stupidly they just fight because that's all they know to do. I mean, when you're a little boy, you're given a toy gun and you're told, go and have fun. That's it. Right there, you create a fracture, a Superman complex, and the little boy is going to become a man who think that having a gun is a solution to all his problems. And that's where we are still today, 3,000 years after. So good luck, But I think it's, we are shifting little by little. Obviously, you have more and more dads like me who have 3 boys. And even so, yes, my boys have gun toys and they play Fortnite. But I try to balance with an education that's reminding them that guns are made to kill. They are not made to create life and make love. So it's not that I'm against or pro-guns. It's that guns are pointless in the process of peace. They just dramatize the problem. They accentuate the fracture between each other. So it's a long wording process. I'm a short-term pessimist and a long-term optimist. You have to, right? Like your late husband, like your late husband Robert Mueller was. Actually, you and I were in my first movie, The Invocation. That's how I met you some 25 years ago, almost, or 20 years ago. And look at Robert. He was there for the long term, and I'm sure he had moments of great depression and despair. But you kind of focus on the big picture, on the planet, and you try to look on the bright horizon and not in the darkness near you, which is sometimes too close to you, especially right now during pandemic times. It's not easy to be optimistic.
I just interviewed a 100-year-old wonderful man who was at the Nuremberg trials. He was the only lawyer that was able to try them. And he had a saying. His saying was, this is Ben Ferenz, his saying was, it takes courage not to be discouraged. And I think you're describing that courage. You use that with your boys. You takes courage to tell them about guns. In fact, you're a little braver than I was. I didn't let my children have any guns. I said, no guns in the house, no play guns, not even cowboy guns. But that was my choice. And I'm sure a lot of parents are like that. But other parents, and I really love what you said about how parents say, go take that gun and go have fun. No, if you use a gun, you have to be so sensible. So didn't you do a film about guns and bombs and horrors like that?
Yeah, we just completed an anthology. I call it the Oneness Collection. It started roughly 10, 12 years ago with the movie you were part of called The Invocation, which was a study of the notion of oneness. And then we did FEM, Women Healing the World. Then we did a movie on politics and economics called We the People. Then followed another one called The Cure, Healing the Mind, Healing the Body, Healing the Planet. It's a very current movie that I invite everybody to watch on iTunes or Amazon Prime. And now we just completed during this tough time a movie that, even so the title is Guns, Bombs and War, a love story, it's really a movie that's going beyond that debate and who is really focusing on we in terms of relationship. You know, how do we transition from that scared little creature, me, myself, and I, holding a gun, a bomb, and a wand, and thinking I'm the master of the universe, to we are in charge of this planet. We can clean it. We can heal it. But it's a we thinking. So that's tough because, you know, if you look at all our government, all the heads of government, they are the expression of me, myself, and I. They don't think in terms of me, myself, and we. And I don't blame them. That's how they were raised. They don't know better. So you have to have a little bit of compassion and empathy and understand where they come from. But what you can do is you can run for office, as I always say. So stop complaining, and either you do a movie like me talking about it and showing other solution, or even better, you run for office. And running for office is from getting involved with your local church to your Scrabble club, or your soccer team, your school, you know, and ultimately, if you're crazy like me, you try to run for president like I'm doing in 2 years in France.
You are, Emmanuel, you are peace in action. You know, well, you did the...
I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. I've got 3 boys, and I've got this Christ complex who makes me fall in love with everybody I meet. So it's my duty. It's not even a choice. It's imposed on me. You know, with a name like Emmanuel, which means a messenger of God, you're doomed from the get-go. That's it. I'm prisoner of my own fate.
I don't know if the word is doomed or blessed. I think you're blessed. I think we're blessed because we know you. Today, what did Ben say? I just interviewed Ben this morning, and he said it takes courage to not be discouraged. And he also said we need to be optimistic and moralistic. And I thought, wow, optimistic and moralistic. And that's you in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah. So optimistic, again, it's trying to look at the big pictures and beyond the darkness that might be settling next to you. So that's doable. The moral aspect is a tricky one because it's a spiritual one. And when I use the word spiritual, I explain that it comes from a Latin root, spiritus, which means the breath. So we've been all conditioned to breathe a certain way, to think a certain way, to be a certain way. So it's very tough to go beyond that initial programming, because when you're told you belong to that race, to that religion, to that culture, to that group, it's really hard to free yourself, to expand, to go beyond, to transcend, and to unite with others who are different from you because they were not necessarily raised in the same tribe, in the same religion, in the same race, and so on. So that's a trick. It's to find a commonality, a common reality, a common morality. That's a trick. But I think it's doable by dialogue, communication, little shows like yours right now, trying to connect us and let us express our view and spread it through the internet. I mean, what an amazing tool than the internet. So, it's doable, but it's baby step. It's one day at a time, 1 week at a time, but we can do it. I always say we are 7 billion geniuses. So, there are amazing solutions out there, amazing human beings, and I believe in the future.
I watch you, and you with your boys, you're such a loving dad. You take care of them, and you're present. I think you're with your sons as much as your wife is, if not more. And what is that about you that makes you such a faithful, loving dad? What is it about you that you have peace in the home? Nobody talks about peace in the home. Nobody talks about how that's the root of all peace is the home, the family, the dinners that you always eat together. What do you do to make those boys so peaceful? And they are loving. They are so.
Well, I've been lucky, I've been married many times, so that's an education right there. I've been spanked many times by amazing women, so I learned from being an idiot, and now I'm a nicer idiot. It's again, I wasn't born perfect. I wasn't born a macho, dominant male, and I had to train myself. I had to domesticate myself, and obviously doing these documentaries were a great education as well, a great therapy in a way. So, I'm a result of an environment, a group of people. It's not, I wasn't born this way. I eventually became better, but, there's still a lot of work. I'm far away from being a perfect man. I'm trying. Again, one day at a time. That's all I can do.
One day at a time and one film
one
at
action
a
at a time, one
Yeah.
film at a time.
Right. But you know what else is very interesting about you? The United Nations Earth Charter says peace begins with the right relationship with yourself and the right relationship with others. That's really hard for some people. It sounds like what you've had an evolution, and that evolution helped you become more in the right relationship with yourself. And those 85 to 150 people I've interviewed for the peace conferences, and Emmanuel was our first president of our Rotary E-Club of World Peace. He was at both conferences. He brought Sharon Stone to the 2016 and the 2020. He was there. And Emmanuel, as I look at you, I see somebody who really is peaceful in spite of the things that may not be perfect in your life. So talk a little bit about that. I didn't ask my basic question. What motivated you to do your first film? That was my first question.
Well, it was interesting. It came to me in a very organic way. I was driving to Los Angeles, since, like you, I live in Santa Barbara. I was driving to Los Angeles to pitch another movie because in a very close past life, I was doing a lot of action, horror, thriller, little B movies for cable network. And I was on my way to pitch another one. And I wasn't satisfied. I'm like, oh, look at this waste of time doing this crappy movie. This is terrible. And I started to be involved more on a humanitarian side with various organizations like the UNA, like the Rotary Club. And I thought, I need to do a documentary. This is the political platform for a filmmaker, is making documentary. But what subject am I going to embark on? And then as I was boiling and listening to some punk rock music blasting in my car, I looked up and I swore to the universe. I said the four-letter word, and immediately I got it. I saw the movie. It was an instant revelation. And I said, okay, that's it. That's your problem. You don't understand that, the universe, the wholeness, the notion of God, the notion of we. And that's so that entire journey into creating this anthology of humanitarian documentaries started by me being exasperated. It was an existentialist crisis in a way, and so it was very organic. And I think a lot of us, we go through what we call a midlife crisis. And it was definitely a midlife crisis. I'm 53 now. That was almost 10 years ago, a bit more than 10 years. So I was in my mid-40s, which is usually when you accumulate so much frustration, you snap. And some of us, if you're lucky, you end up with creating a beautiful documentary anthology. If you're not that lucky, maybe you seek out, escapism through drugs, or you abandon your family, or do even worse. So it's interesting how we go through crises in our life, and we have to learn to overcome them and rebuild ourselves. And that's tough again, because everybody is so fragile. Nobody is a Superman or Superwoman. We eventually become better men, better women by working hard on ourselves and with the help of others. I always tell people, it's not only about you, it's about we. It's about, facing yourself and saying, I've got issues, I've got problems, I need to figure out something, and then reaching out and not be scared of reaching out. Because we are always told, you're good enough for yourself, figure it out. No. Let's figure it out together. So that's why we are 7 billion people. If not, there would be only one beautiful couple, Adam and Eve, on this planet. We're not one Adam and one Eve. We are many of Adams and Eves. So let's work together as one humanity.
Oh, I would love that. What a concept. Work together as one humanity, bringing peace to the world through our communication skills, through our life, through our love. If somebody wanted to know more about your films, what website would you suggest we go to?
So the four first movie are out on iTunes, on Amazon Prime. They are on Vudu. So basically, what I suggest is that you type my name, Emmanuel Itier, on Google, and then you will get to my site, which is wonderland.entgroup.com. And from there, you can see all my movies, and they are linked to connect and watch them on iTunes or Amazon. It's very easy to find me. Connect also through Facebook. I'm on Facebook, like you are. We have so many reasons today to connect, and no excuses not to connect. So let's use all our tools of connection.
Yeah, you're one of the best Facebook people I know. I love going on Facebook and seeing what Emmanuel's up to today. And he has thousands of people following him, and they all follow him because he gives them a reason. He gives them a reason to see what's going on with his family. He could even do a YouTube special about living with 3 young boys. I could see him on YouTube, and just what you do. You have amazing charisma, and your boys are examples of that love that you give them. And is there something you'd like to tell the world now that you've made all these films about what it takes to really become somebody that we listen to, what it takes to be the Dalai Lama, if you want to call it that, or what it takes to be Desmond Tutu? What is it? What is that characteristic that they have that brings their whole life to a focus on peace?
Well, first, and I met all these people that you mentioned, and they are in my documentaries, so I learned a lot from meeting them. And first thing that surprised me is that they are exactly like you and I. That means that every single human being is a beautiful soul, a beautiful genus. Somehow, some of us are locked in our mind. We are prisoners of our mind. Again, because of our programming, our education, the limitations that our family, society, education put on ourselves. So that's the only real difference between them and you eventually, is that their mind has been totally liberated, expanded to its maximum capacity. And because of that openness, that freedom of thinking, they have now a freedom of being, and therefore a freedom of doing. So it's really ultimately in the doing that you're going to accomplish yourself and realize yourself and what you're made for. So it's about thinking, therefore being, therefore doing. The old saying, French saying, I think, therefore I am. That's not enough. It's I think, therefore I am, therefore I do. So the 21st century has to be the century of the action, of the doing. All of our ancestors, they did great thinking, liberating, passing beautiful laws, but now we have to put all of that in action. And not only in a personal action, but in a synergy action, in a united action. Like for example, this week, we saw it again. There was a horrible bombing in Lebanon. Well, immediately the UN, France, the US, everybody united and say, okay, how can we help Lebanon? Well, it's just an example. Every single day we have to wake up and say, how can we help this group of people, that country, that city, that homeless person? It's about the consciousness of oneness, becoming an action and not just a thought. So that's what I hope is occurring little by little.
Could write a book on this one or do a film.
I've done 5 documentaries. I'm done with the talking. Now I'm just doing the doing. I'm doing the work, and that's why I'm running for president in 2 years in France, which is a long process, and that's why it's taking from now until 2022. But that's it. I'm done. I'm done with the talking. I'm done with the filming. Now it's only going to be action, political action, to really transform the world.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I'll tell you why. This is the decade of action. This last 10 years between the 2015, when the Sustainable Development Goals were developed by the United Nations, we have 10 years left. By 2030, we want this world to work. We want this world to be humane. We want this world to end poverty, to look at the land, the life under the ocean, all of those 17 Sustainable Development Goals. This is a decade of action. So, Emmanuel, I'm going to interview you in 10 years, and I want you to tell me all the actions that you took and all the results, because you are the action we need today. And I loved what you said, and I'm going to repeat it. You said, what you think. You put yourself in your own prison. Why do we do that, Emmanuel? How did you get out of your prison? How did you get out of the way?
So how we get there? How we get there is, as I explained, it's not your fault. You know, you're a victim again of your environment, your education, your religion. Basically, other people telling you who you are, when really it's not who you are, it's who they think you should be, which is a terrible doing, but we keep doing it because, again, it's perpetuation of that cycle of nonsense. So in my case, I was very lucky. I had parents who baptized me and would try to force me to go to church. But for some reason, there was the inner crazy Emmanuel always said, screw all that. You know, I'm my own man. I don't need a tribe. I don't need a church. I don't need, not that I don't think it's unnecessary. I just thought it wasn't serving me. It wasn't serving the purpose of becoming Emmanuel. So I really, very at an early age, rebelled. And so that's it. You know, again, I'm kind of, it's my fate. I'm a rebellious creature. I'm Emmanuel, you know. I'm the guy you cannot put in a box ever. And that's why, you know, like when I run for president, I'm running with my own political, spiritual movement, because I don't believe more at being a Democrat than a Republican. I believe in both. You know, I don't believe about being white, black. I believe in all of that. I believe in Christianity as much as Judaism, as much as Islam, Buddhism. It's all beautiful to me. It's all oneness. You know, God is all and all is God. So why should I limit myself? There is no limitation unless the one you want to impose yourself, or even worse, the one that were imposed onto yourself. So I got lucky. I got, you know, at an early age, very rebellious, and I had parents who were very understanding and very patient, because you can imagine having a kid like me is not a walk in the park every day.
I see that 3 little Emmanuels in your boys. That you always let them
now
be.
I'm paying the price. Now I'm paying the price. I've got 3 little Emmanuels.
Yeah.
And so they are called Felix, Max, and Rex.
Yeah.
They are 3.
And you know, I've been at your house a lot, and you let them be. You don't go over there and criticize. You let them be. You guide.
To a certain extent, yes. To a certain extent.
Yeah.
I think in life you have to be a holy punk, and it's a complementary. It's a yin and the yang. You know, the holy is, you know, trying to find your senses and your peace within and your Zen attitude, and the punkness is like refusing to be kept into that mental jail that society tried to put you in all the time. So
what is that based on? Is that based on fear, that mental jail? I mean, I don't know the answer.
It's based basically, on the illusion of fear. Why are we fearful? There is no reason. Where is the threat coming from? But from our own mind, there is no reason. Maybe because it's as some people say, there is a crisis of faith. And faith, I always explain, comes from a verb, fidere, which means to trust. So for some reason, by putting so much BS in our mind, we have lost our inner trust and the trust with each other. We have dissolved all relationship existing. So we have to rebuild that. We have to rebuild community. We have to rebuild minds. It's souls. It takes time, but it's doable, you know, because there are more and more people like you and I. We are not only doing the talk, but we are doing the walk. So
yeah, and it's our soul. Our souls are speaking. And now, Emmanuel, you seem like a one-man band. What can we do to help you, dear God in heaven?
The first thing you need to do is really stop talking, stop watching at the end of this blog, obviously, but then put yourself into action. That's how you can help, not only me, but you can help the world. So again, stop waiting to be saved. Do the saving. Become your own savior and the savior of other people. And it's all about doing it. Don't overthink it. Think it 2 seconds and then put yourself in motion, and you'll see beautiful thing will happen. And other than that, wish me luck. I mean, you know, it's a crazy path to attempt to become a president of a country, whether it's France or any country. We have beautiful elections here in less than 100 days. So that's it. Vote for me if you're French in 2022. That's it. That's the only help I need. Tell me you love me. That's all I need.
You are listening to one of those rare human beings who understands, who is able to come into their fellow man and woman's life and in a short time become unforgettable with the message and the basics that this human man, Emmanuel Itier, brings. And when you're with him, you just are so bubbly and so happy, but you're also ready to do something. You're ready to become the action he said we need. If you are able to love another person, that's an action. Get that action out there. And we need to be needed. Don't wait to be needed. Get yourself out there. Service to others can give you a new purpose. And that's what Emmanuel's done. Emmanuel, am I right?
Absolutely. We need everybody together. And everybody telling each other, I love you, I love you, I love you. There's not
love
enough.
and peace and harmony. And I will be happy if we have those three in this next decade of action. This is the United Nations Association and the 75th year. Go to unasb.org, click on the United Nations, find out what's going on. Don't be somebody who's just waiting to find out. Be an action partner with Emmanuel. Emmanuel, I'm going to give you the last word. You want to say anything, or I'm just going to say thank you?
You're the beautiful soul, the beautiful lady. You've got the last word. That's what I learned as a man, as a humble man at the service of your soul.
Well, I'm Barbara Gahn-Mueller, and you're listening to peacepodcast.org, and I want you to invite a friend. Invite two friends to get on their Zoom link and to watch Emmanuel together and do what he said. Love and live. But don't let your mind become your jailbird. You are the person that can be free, and you don't have to come from anything except the freedom and the needs that you come into in your life. So without further ado, thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you. Become peace in action.
Peace in action. What a blessing you are. Bye-bye.